The Ringing Cedars Series 1, Anastasia, Book 1, Vladimir Megre. According to Anastasia, they are in the text-woven letter combinations and word combinations, which they have beneficial influence on humans. It is possible to feel that influence when reading when hearing is not affected by external sounds, produced artificial objects and mechanisms. Natural sounds, birdsong, the sound of rain, the rustling of leaves on the trees, they help the positive influence. At the time of the book's release, this statement of Anastasia was confirmed more than 5,000 letters from readers. Vladimir Megre, Anastasia, Book 1. I exist for those for whom I exist. In Vladimir Megre's first book, the story is about an unusual woman, gifted with the ability to heal the soul and body of man. In the spring of 1994, I rented 3 river boats, with which I went on a 4-month expedition on the Siberian Ob River, from Novosibirsk to Salehard and back. The goal of the expedition was to establish economic relations with the regions of the far north. The caravan was supposed to travel 3,500 kilometers to the north, visit relatively densely populated places. During the day, the ships of the caravan docked next to populated areas. We traded and negotiated to establish permanent economic relations there. We traveled mostly at night. If the weather conditions did not allow us to sail along the river, in unfavorable weather the boat for special routes would dock at a nearby settlement, and we would organize evening parties for the local youth. There, such endeavors are a rarity. Clubs and centers of culture have almost died out in recent times. There are actually no cultural events in them. He knew how to go a day without us seeing a single, not even a small populated place. Only the taiga spread along the river bank, for many kilometers the only artery through which traffic took place. At that time, I had no idea that on one of these kilometers I would be met with an encounter that would change my entire life. Once, when we were sailing in the opposite direction, towards Novosibirsk, I decided to disembark the ship for special routes on the coast of a small village with only a few small houses, tens of kilometers away from larger populated cities. I decided to agree to stay for 3 hours so that the crew could take a short walk on land, and the locals would buy a variety of goods and products from us, and we would buy cheaper medicinal plants from the taiga and fish from them. We traveled mostly at night. While we were standing, 2 local elders approached me with a quite unusual request, as it seemed to me at the time. One was older and the other younger. The elder, an old man with a long gray beard, was silent the whole time. The younger one spoke. He persuaded me to give them about 50 people. There were only 65 in the ship's crew, whom they themselves would take to the taiga, 25 kilometers away from the place where the ship docked. They would take them deep into the taiga to cut down, as they called it, the ringing cedar. The cedar, whose height, according to him, reached about 40 meters, still needed to be cut into parts, which would be transferred by hand to the ship. They would have to take them all. The old man advised that each part should be cut into even more smaller parts. They would take one for themselves, and give the rest to their relatives, acquaintances, to anyone who would like to receive them as a gift. The old man said that this cedar is special. A piece of it should be worn on a ribbon, on the chest. In addition, it should be thrown while standing with bare feet on the grass, and place the palm of the left hand on the bare chest. During the minute, you will feel the pleasant warmth produced by the cedar, after which light tingling will pass through the body. From time to time, when the desire arises, you will need to scrape a piece of cedar with your fingertips on that side that does not touch the body, holding it with your thumbs on the other side. The old man affirmed with conviction that in just 3 months, a man who owns a piece of bell cedar will feel much better and will be cured of many diseases. Even from AIDS? I asked, briefly telling them about that disease as much as I knew from the press. The old man answered with certainty, from all diseases. But this, in his opinion, was an easy task. The most important thing was that the person who owns this piece will become better, more successful and more gifted. So I started to explain to them that in the big country, women, wanting to be liked, wear jewelry made of gold and silver, and they will not pay money for some kind of tree, and therefore I will not engage in any expenses either. They carry without knowing, came the answer. Gold is dust compared to one piece of this cedar. But we are not asking for any money for him. We can still give you dried mushrooms, but we are not asking for anything. Without starting to argue out of respect for their age, I said, well, maybe someone will start carrying a piece of your cedar. He will start carrying it when the great carving master lays down his hand and creates something unusually beautiful. But then the old man answered, it can be carved, but it is better to scrape it. It is much better if we scrape by ourselves, with our fingers, when the soul wants it, and then the cedar will be beautiful on the outside as well. I saw a bulging circle or an oval. There were different colors on it, purple, raspberry, red, and they formed a strange pattern. The veins of the wood looked like streams.